Hi guys, welcome to sunny California. We're here to check out the all-new Lexus RX. Now this is coming to Singapore in January 2023. And the big news for our market, no more petrol-only model. Instead, for our base model, we're getting the RX 350h self-charging hybrid. And then there's the RX 450h Plus plug-in hybrid. And there's something called the RX 500h F-Sport Performance, which is a high-performance hybrid. That one's gonna be fantastic. Stick around, find out more.
Buy or sell your car now with CarBuyer Singapore and check out the latest automotive content with us.
First off, RX stands for Radiant Crossover, which kind of sounds like someone I met at a party once. But never mind all that, have a look at the front end of this car now. The RX was kind of famous for this big spindle front grille, and Lexus is kind of shifting to a spindle body design. So you're going to see that shape not just near the grille, but elsewhere along the car. Now what I really like about this one is the way this blends so seamlessly with the body of the car. There's this kind of transition here, and if you look at the Lexus badge, it's actually right in the middle of that transition, almost as if Lexus itself was in the middle of some kind of transition, you know, with electric cars coming and everything. That sounds deep, but I just made the whole thing up on the spot. Now follow me along to the side here, and Lexus says that the new RX is kind of a competitor to cars like the Audi Q7, the BMW X5. It is actually a little bit smaller than those cars, and at just under 4.9 meters long, this one is exactly the same length as the RX before. But it does have a 60 millimeter longer wheelbase than before, and you get the choice of two wheels, 19 inches, 21 inches. These are the 21s, and I think that's why they kind of fill the arches so well. So let's have a look along the sides. I really like that they've retained this floating roof design here. This time around, it swoops down more towards the back, and that is something worth checking out as well. So follow me, we'll take a look and see what's back here. Now over the back, see if you can spot more of that spindle body stuff I was talking about. But I tell you what, I really like what they've done with the lighting back here. They haven't just sort of stuck an LED between the tail lights and called it good. They've integrated it really nicely, and there's more of this L motif that Lexus is kind of famous for. Something else that's different is this part of the car, which is called the belt line. Now in the old RX, it was a bit higher, so it was a bit sort of more like your grandpa's pants, but the belt line here is lower, which I think makes the car look a bit cooler. Now let's have a look at the boot of the car, or the trunk as they say here in America. Now I don't actually know whether it's bigger than before because I don't have the figures, but I do know that the loading height is 30 millimeters lower, which makes it easier to chuck stuff back in here, and apparently it is a bit deeper than before. Bottom line is, and here's the bit you really want to know, you apparently can get 4 golf bags in here. So overall, I think when it comes to the design part of the new RX, they've done quite a nice job. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. Okie let's have a look back here. Now, as before, there is actually quite a lot of room. Plenty of headroom, and you know, it's wide enough for 3, I think. And something new about this car is there seems to be a bit more space over here. Apparently there's 12 millimeters more room between the seats than before. That doesn't sound like a lot, like it's like that, but I'll take it. One thing that's interesting though is Lexus says there's no plans for a 7-seat version, so I guess that was not a priority for this car. Also, there's more legroom, not because of the stretch to the wheelbase, but apparently because of the way the seats are mounted, and also because there are thinner front seats. The reason they've stretched the wheelbase is not to make the car more spacious, but apparently to make the car better to drive. Okay, it is completely different inside here, guys. I'm sure you noticed that it's, well, basically very digital now. So you've got this huge 14-inch screen up here, and the graphics look really sharp, and they actually work quite smoothly as well. I'm just gonna jab everything and make that annoying noise. But yeah, I'm sure this works better with the engine running. But you know what? Our experience with this in the NX is that the graphics render smoothly and everything works as it should. I have to say though, it's got a very different feel here from before. It used to be much more sort of old school luxe in the RX with laser cut metal and wood and stuff like that. The materials here do feel very nice though, so it does feel like a premium car still. It's just a different approach to luxury. I tell you what though, one thing I don't miss about the old car is that old touchpad, weird mousy thing that operated the screen. It was still a touchscreen, but you still had that weird pad. Well, all that's gone. We've gone to just touchscreen. I think just for that alone, I'm going to give the car 10 out of 10. But enough talking, more driving. Let's try and find out what this baby feels like on the road.
Right, so I'm starting out with the RX 350h here. That's going to be the entry-level model for Singapore, and it's a classic Lexus self-charging hybrid. It has a 4-cylinder 2.5-litre engine up front with a motor system, plus another motor for the rear wheels. It stores excess energy in a small battery, which helps to boost the fuel economy.
One thing I have to say about Lexus's hybrid system is that it really works well, and everything just works really smoothly. And what I mean by that is the engine cuts in and out really smoothly. The brakes, they work just seamlessly. They're not grabby and they're not mushy. So it all works really well. Now, the hybrid technology will save you fuel, but what I really like about it is actually how quiet it makes the car. I mean, when you're at a standstill, it is absolutely silent, and that makes for a car that's really zen to drive, like now.
When you turn up the pace, things do get noisier inside, of course. Now, smooth V6 engines are a thing of the past for the Lexus RX models, but with 247 horsepower, the RX 350h can get pretty lively. It gets to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.9 seconds. Okay, you're not going to worry about losing your license, but the real point of this car is the smooth ride, the easy handling, and the comfy seats. All in all, this is a great car for the city where you can really enjoy the quietness and the refinement.
But if it's excitement you want, then check this out. This is the RX 500h. Now straight away you can see how different this is. This has the F Sport Performance package. So straight away you can see the front grille is actually quite different. It's frameless, and the lower bumper is different as well. It makes the car look sort of wider and more planted up front. And come along with me to the side here. Let's see what we have. Of course, F Sport badge and different lower sills. And I love these wheels actually, black wheels with special tires just for the F Sport Performance. And these 6-spot brake calipers. Someone obviously thinks this car belongs on the racetrack.
Now, this is called an RX 500, but under the bonnet you have a 2.4-litre turbo, a 6-speed auto, and an electric motor. This is the first time Lexus is pairing a turbo engine with a hybrid system, so there's a lot going on in the engine bay.
But there is a lot going on back here as well. Now the 500h has something called Direct Force, so it has an E-axle in the back. What that is it integrates a rear motor with the voltage inverter and all the gears for the rear axle. Now this motor alone is good for 76 kilowatts. And guess what? This car also has rear wheel steering up to 4 degrees at a time. Now apparently at low speeds it makes the car more agile and it makes the car more stable at high speeds. That's the theory anyway. Let's find out how it works in practice. Right, so we've got two electric motors, a 2.4-litre turbo, 366 horsepower. That's American horsepower. Let's see what that feels like. And straight away you can feel there's quite a lot of oomph. Now, 0 to 100 in this car takes 6.2 seconds. Now that's not something you want to text home about, but it does feel quite quick, and certainly quicker than the other versions of the RX I've driven so far.
Now, a new platform for the RX means the center of gravity is 15 millimeters lower than before. The front and rear tracks are wider and the body shell is stiffer and stronger, which helps the suspension to work more precisely. Both the front and rear suspension are redesigned, and in the F Sport Performance, you get bigger brakes, special tires just for the RX 500, and extra body bracing material so the body is even stiffer.
Now, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure if I can feel all 4 wheels steering the car, but this car does actually feel quite nimble for its size, and I think it's actually more agile than its German rivals. And I'll tell you what, there is a nice weight and calibration to all the controls. The suspension is a bit firmer than in the other RX models, but I'll tell you what, straight away, I'm kind of looking for a nice twisty road to attack. Overall, I think the car isn't quite as wild as a Mercedes AMG, but it is pretty satisfying to drive. And I think for the extra power alone, this might be the one for the car enthusiast to think about.
Lexus likes to say it invented the luxury SUV when it came out with the first RX in 1997, but after that it certainly didn't invent the high-performance SUV. But with the new RX 500h, it's certainly clawing back some lost ground. By the way, I did drive the plug-in hybrid too. Like other PHEVs, it's a short-range electric car with an engine for longer distances. There's a charging port on the side where you plug in to top up an 18.1 kilowatt-hour battery. Now that should give you enough juice to cover roughly 50 kilometers in our kind of traffic, which means enough distance for a daily drive in Singapore before the battery runs flat and the engine takes over. But what I really liked about the 450h Plus is that it's actually the most refined version of the new RX, especially when you drive it as an EV. It'll accelerate smoothly up to about 140 kilometers an hour, and handling-wise, this is the Goldilocks car. It's sharper than the RX 350h, but it's more comfortable than the RX 500h. It's quite lovely, but ultimately there are no real incentives for plug-ins in Singapore, so it's bound to be a seriously tough sell. If you're wondering why there's no full electric RX, well, Lexus is working on the RZ 450e, which is a pure electric car. If you want one, you're just going to have to pray that they put the steering wheel on the right side of the car, but we think they will.
So let's summarize. The new Lexus RX is a much sharper looking car than before, and I think it's gonna turn heads when it gets to Singapore. There's also plenty of emphasis on electrification now, and while the interior isn't quite as plush and opulent as the RX before, it actually feels much more modern inside. As for the kind of models that you get in Singapore, well, the RX 350h is more your classic Lexus experience, so it's very zen, comfortable, and very fuel efficient. But I think this is the one to get if you have the money. This is the RX 500h, and if you think it's exciting to look at, well, then I think you're going to enjoy the way it drives as well. Well, that's our quick look at the new Lexus RX. I bet you can't wait to see this in Singapore. Well, I can't wait to see what you have to say. Leave us a comment, like this video, and please share it with your friends. And don't forget to nail that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.